The main objection I've made against pagan Christianity is that in pagan Christianity there is no actual movement on, on the part of the members. Now you may say, oh shit, how can you say that? They pay tithes, they go to church every Sunday, they're involved in the activities of, of the congregation. I'm not talking about all of that because that's all local. What I mean is their spiritual judgment conducted on the community where that church is located. Do they come together as a congregation discussing what's going on in the community? And do they enforce righteous judgment together collectively on all evildoers in that community? That includes corrupt politicians, corrupt judges, that implies psychopaths, child predators. Are they enforcing righteous judgment on the community? Well, often the answer is no, they're not doing it. They talk about love, they talk about Jesus being the only way, and they invite people to the gospel. That's not biblical because Christ said that we have to command people to obey whatever he commanded us. So the gospel is a declaration of God's sovereignty. It's not an invitation, but pagan Christianity calls it an invitation. So they put the will of reprobates above the Most High. So reprobates have a right to say no against God, which is not true. So when you look at those Babylon churches or in pagan Christianity, they don't do what they claim to stand for. It should go like this. Believers should be active in the community where God placed them, and it should be alert. So let's say your name is Jessica, and you live in an apartment complex or a flat, and you notice that some of your neighbors, well, in that flat, you have some of those women, they have bruises. So now you know that there's domestic violence. When you come together on the Sabbath, or whichever day you come together, whether it's virtually come together, because today you can also do that through Skype, or on WhatsApp, or you can really come together physically in a building, or wherever you come together, it should be that Jessica informs the other believers that she has witnessed domestic violence in her area. And then all the believers there together, they sing praises, they glorify Christ, and they begin to decree judgment, begin to sing judgment down on all those predators in that flat. When they do that, on Monday or on Tuesday, when Jessica comes home, she hears that some of those men moved away or that the police arrested them. Change happened. That's how believers ought to be. We ought to be alert and we ought to intervene collectively. Because individually, the demons may form a weight against you, but if collectively believers stand together in judgment, no demon, no principality, no wizard, no warlock cabinet, no Illuminati can stand against believers operating in judgment together. In pagan Christianity, it's not happening. Maybe there are places here and there where local believers do it, but in pagan Christianity, that's not going on. What also should happen is that believers are alert to the needs of the community. So if there are a lot of street children somewhere, and those street children don't have a place to go because their relatives want to look at them, then that's a gap in the community. Now Satan sees the gap and he sends his wizards to recruit those orphans into the paranormal. What should believers do? Let's say your name is Frank and she knows that there are a lot of homeless children, or there are people that are about to become homeless because they're losing their jobs. Then you tell to the congregation where you're a member of, listen, there are many orphans around here and many families are about to become homeless because they're losing their jobs. So what are we going to do? Then they begin to praise the Lord and then they begin to decree judgment, and one of them in the congregation will get the idea to start a factory or to start a business, and they all spiritually invest into that business. They all make some effort, and that business that they constructed together will then be used to capture those orphans or those families that are about to become homeless, and that's how they're under the influence of Christ. That's how believers ought to be. It's not just about dealing with evildoers, it's about enforcing the good on the earth. That's what believers ought to do. And in pagan Christianity, this is not happening. As a matter of fact, there are, there are more people sick, broken, depressed, and suicidal in pagan Christianity than there are those in pagan Christianity capable of enforcing righteous judgment and enforcing the good in their environment. So instead of those Babylon churches being beacons of light, they're now beacons of trash. There's a lot of filthy energy around those pagan churches. Yet every Sunday or every Sabbath, people get reloaded emotionally and they think that that's the presence of the Lord. They're being scammed. And you have um, atheists who are haters of pagan Christianity. They don't make sense anyway, but there's one thing those atheists are correct about. They see people who claim to have the authority of heaven and earth in them, yet they remain broken, they remain depressed, they remain suicidal, they remain sick, they remain divided, and they remain confused. So then the atheist is going to think, hold on a minute, if you claim you have the power and the authority of heaven and earth, it means you have the power of the universe behind you and you have the authority inside of you. If that's the truth, then that means that all evildoers, that means all child predators, all abusive husbands or abusive wives, all people that bring harm to the community in the form of drugs or whatever, that means that all evildoers should be scared of you all because you have the power and the authority inside of you. And the atheist is going to think, hold on a minute, but if you have the power and authority in you, of course you will face difficulty because not everyone's going to accept that you have the power behind you. So yes, you will face resistance, but if you have the power in you, you should overcome and overrule all the resistance against you. Even the atheists understand this. Yet you have those in pagan Christianity, they can't see it. It is as if part of their thinking is frozen. Part of their mind is frozen. The part that needs to think constructively about stuff. Not critically, but the part of their mind has to be constructive in analyzing things, that part is frozen. But they don't realize this. Look, if you're an American, because many of my subscribers are from the United States, if you're an American and you are in trouble somewhere on the earth, the US Marines or the whatever part of the US military is present there is obliged to go and look for you and bring you safe to US soil. That is a pledge that the United States government has for its citizens. No matter where they are, if they are in trouble, they will send their helicopters, or they will send military assistance to get their citizens back. That's the United States of America. I'm not sure if any other country in the world does this, but the United States does it. That's why wherever there are Americans, the United States makes sure that there is a US embassy as well as a military base of USA nearby. Russia has a similar thing. Russia doesn't have that much with the military, but they do put diplomatic pressure and also economic pressure wherever Russians live. And they even intervene in countries where there are many Russians, and they don't care because they think our people are there. They stand behind their people. The United States does this, and also Russia does this. There are more countries doing it, I know, but the United States does it in a military way. The Russian Federation does it in a diplomatic and economic manner. And to some extent, the EU, which is not a state, but is a union of states, does a similar thing, but well, they have their issues internally. Let's say now that, maybe you're not an American, but let's say you are how would I say, you are from Cameroon, for example, and you are in Latin America, and there is an embassy of Cameroon over there in the country you reside in. Let's say you are in trouble, or not because you look for trouble, but now you're in trouble, you're in need, and you ask the embassy for help. And the embassy says, yeah, I know you're in trouble, but yeah, we can't really do anything. will that motivate you to be proud on your Cameroon heritage? No, you would think, why should I remain with a Cameroon passport if outside Cameroon when I'm in trouble, they don't even want to help me? They do demand me to pay taxes, to obey the laws, to get along with society. They demand all those things, but when I need benefits, which is part of being a citizen, they can't give it to me. Sooner or later, you would consider taking an American citizenship or citizenship from a state that does stand more behind their citizens, right? Now, remember that example. You expect the embassy of your nation, of your home country, to stand behind you in another country. The Netherlands went so far that it made an agreement with Thailand because there are many pedophiles from the Netherlands going to Thailand to rape kids. Those scumbags do such things. It's a public secret. People know about it. And the Dutch government made a deal with Thailand. If a child molester with a Dutch passport is caught in Thailand, they'll be transferred to the Netherlands, and the sentence will be transformed according to Dutch standards. And in the Netherlands, for touching children in an inappropriate manner, you don't get that much time behind bars. So even the scumbags of their country, they stand behind them because they still are Dutch citizens. That's how far the Netherlands goes. And when it comes to the United States, they don't care whether that American look for trouble himself or not. He or she is an American. They belong to the United States. The United States will back them up. So even if you are a scumbag from the United States, if you're a citizen and you're in trouble, the United States comes for you. So there are good things that are arranged in this world, okay? But now, why am I talking about this? About embassies and all of that? Just think about this. You have a building where every weekend people come together and they proclaim to have the power from the Creator. That means that the sovereign being of the universe stands behind them. If that's the case, that means that people that are victimized in the community should be able to knock on the door of those people who are, you can say, the embassy of the supreme being, should be able to knock on the door and should be able to receive help for free. Because if the supreme being stands behind you, that means that the supreme being has to finance you, sponsor you, and make sure that things are well off with you. For example, if you go to a US embassy, you see the American glory. You can find Coca-Cola there, you can find American products, you can see pictures of the former presidents or the current president also, and you can see the US military over there. It's American glory. Every country makes sure that their embassy is in a glorious state. If you go to the embassy of a country and the embassy is just a wooden cabin of wood with a Windows 95 computer in it and only 5 people who don't even wash themselves well, they are the diplomats, you wouldn't want to deal with that country. Every country, no matter how horrible the conditions in that country are, they make sure that their embassies are in a glorious state. Even in the world, they have this common sense. So if you are a servant of the Supreme Being, of the Most High Himself, that means that His glory must be visible in you and where you are. That means that if you have a group of believers somewhere and they come together, they will be a stronghold of safety. That's what they ought to be. So everyone that's wounded or victimized in the community should be able to run to where the believers are and they're safe. No predator even dares to come nearby. That's how it ought to be. And that's what worldly people who hear the gospel also expect. And that expectation is right. But what happens now is that in pagan Christianity, people have a form of godliness. So they think one thing, but they deny or they resist the power thereof. A US ambassador cannot be appointed by President Trump because at the moment of this video, Trump is president. The presidents are appointed by heads of state. So Trump cannot appoint an ambassador, for example, to, let me name a country, to Vietnam. And the ambassador only has the American flag at the building, but there are no provisions and no assistance available for American citizens in Vietnam. He can't do that. He's appointed by the president, so not only should he place American flag, which is obvious, he should also demand provisions from Washington, D.C., and he ought to use those provisions to reflect the glory of the United States over there, so that all U.S. citizens in Vietnam know whenever we are in danger or we need help, there's our embassy. You get what I'm saying here? So an ambassador that does not knock on the door of his homeland and demands provisions is not in his right mind, because it's an ambassador. That means that the homeland ought to provide for him. And Christ said, you're in the world but not of the world. Christ said, gather treasures in heaven where nobody can break in or steal. Not because you belong to heaven, but because your provision comes from the heavens, where the Most High lives, where there is no corruption at all, where there's only abundance. Think about that. And Christ said, when you pray that the Father's will is done on earth as it is in heaven. So when you look at the context of all of this, it makes plain that believers ought to be the stronghold of safety. Believers ought to be like this mighty fortress, like this mighty castle, figuratively speaking, of safety and abundance. That's how believers ought to be. But what happens now that in pagan Christianity, they claim godliness, but they're far removed from it. So it's a scam. But you have many people, including believers, that fell for the scam. And they are enacting this scam. So when people in the world are wounded, that are victimized, or people that are haunted by stalkers or predators, when they need to be around a stronghold of safety, they go to those churches because they think those people worship the Most High, so there must be safety there. And they arrive there, and they get a very unpleasant surprise. Many of the predators that haunted them are members of those churches. Those churches are they are like holes for those predators. It's like how do I say it? It's a comfort zone for those predators almost. Those predators are pampered over there. And then the wounded people in the world are going to think, hold on a minute, what is this? You claim to follow Christ, the Most High himself? You claim that your provision comes from the heavens? But how come you embrace, endorse, and pamper all those vile evildoers that have made plain with an attitude that they don't want to change? Why are you embracing the enemies of God while you claim to represent and glorify God on the earth? What is that? But yet, a lot of, let me say, churchgoers don't see this. And there are many believers stuck in those churches that don't see it either. Remember the example I gave to you about embassies. If you are an American citizen and you go to an American embassy because you need help and the ambassador is rude towards you, doesn't want to help you, the moment Washington D.C. finds out about this, that ambassador is finished. Oh, he is in big trouble for sure. Because he may even be charged with treason because he went against U.S. citizens. And by doing that, he endangered Americans. Or with the United States, if you as an official endanger your own people, you can be charged with treason. And in the United States, you can even receive the death penalty for treason. So that ambassador knows, I better do what I'm here for, because if I neglect my duty towards my people in this foreign country, I'm done. He knows it. He knows it very well. But now you have people that claim to follow Christ. They have a form of godliness. So that's an illusion of it. But there's no power. There's no safety, no abundance, no healing, no riches, none of it. Look, it should be obvious to you. If they claim one thing but hold on to another, they're scammers. If you claim Christ and you agree with Christ and you receive resistance from all sides and you keep on going, that's real. But if you claim Christ, but everything's at ease, you face some tribulation, that means demons are supporting you. Because Christ was persecuted, how can you not persecuted? Or if they claim Christ, but they don't walk by faith, so they are victimized all the time and they embrace abuse and all that, then you know they're liars also, they're scammers. They claim one thing, but go against the thing they're claiming. Some do it in a very, very, how to say, sophisticated manner, so you won't notice it immediately. With others more open, but it's a scam. It's a scam. Do not claim the glory of Christ if you're not operating in the power. Because the moment you associate yourself with the name of Christ, that alone provokes enemies and attacks against you. So you better have the power available to you to walk in to overcome all the dangers to come against you, because it will happen. Well, that's it for this video. Keep agreeing with Christ and be at peace.